Good afternoon, it's Peter James from Career Life Transitions, and I'm at Curtin University. A beautiful campus, the sun is shining, it's summertime, it's not too hot, beautiful day to be outside. We're out here doing a little bit of work with the university, but I wanted to talk to you today about my 5 top tips for looking for work when you're over 50. Now, it's a bit of a hot topic at the moment. We certainly, I guess we have a whole range of baby boomers going through the system at the moment. I'm certainly fit into that box. And there is, I guess, a sense that being over 50 and losing a job, or even getting close to 50 and saying, I'm really looking for a change, is on the minds of a number of people, certainly some of my friends. So here are my top 5 tips for looking for work within your 50s. Now, I think the first thing is that people notice is your attitude. Certainly people who lose their job at 50 start to think about things about ageism and being discriminated against in some way because of their age. And that I guess, sense that I'm too old, I can't find work, defeatist attitude and whatever, is not what anyone is looking for to employ into their organisation. So when it comes to that stage and you find yourself, and I certainly found myself being made redundant and looking for opportunities around the age of 50, is to really kind of put out of your head all that stuff about ageism and what have you. I mean, it doesn't help you at all. Knowing that ageism exists, or knowing that there's some kind of a gender imbalance, or any kind of what you might think is discrimination, is kind of irrelevant to what you're looking for. In fact, it's a bit of a negative. It starts to impact your attitude. So my first tip is to have a look at your attitude and looking for work, and it should be fresh, it should be exciting, it should be out there, because that's, if I'm looking to employ someone, that's what I'm looking for in someone, regardless of their age. If I come to someone who's like, I'm 50, it's hard to get work, and there's ageism, and I'll be discriminated against and all the rest of it, it's not that attractive. So tip number 1, attitude. Okay. Tip number 2 is be flexible in where you're at. Now, I've worked with people who are quite senior around the place, and they may not automatically just roll into another job as senior as they've had in the past, or in another company in a more senior role. It may take you to have a look at where you're at, where you look at your career. Maybe you have a step back, maybe take a less stressful job, or move to a slightly different area of your organisation, or something like that. It really is important that you remain flexible, that you're not kind of like, well, I need to get back on the horse again, I need to prove to people that I'm at that same level. That's really your ego kicking in, it's not common sense kicking in at all. I guess, having a look around at what industry you're in and what industries are employing people at 50 and what have you is something else, point number 3 if you like. So what industries at the moment are looking around and looking for people in their 50s? And there are certainly a lot of organisations who are dealing with people in their 50s as customers and what have you, who are looking for that maturity in their business. So be flexible in the role you take, and be flexible in the industry, and look in places that are more likely to employ older employees. I guess the next thing is really your network. If you've got a really, really strong network around the place, then age doesn't become a factor. If someone has some work that need to be done, and you have a good, strong reputation, you have a good, strong network, then that is going to set you up much better than someone who has a very, very poor network. So if you don't have a network, if you find yourself out of a business, you've been in it for 20 or 30 years, and you don't have that network outside of your company, now is a really great time to start building that network. And then we start talking about social media and what, because that's another fantastic way of ensuring that you're having the contacts and get the contacts and what have you to help you move into your next role. And I guess the last point, number 5, is be prepared to learn. It's not a matter of sort of saying, okay, well, I'm too old to learn anything new. I'm too mature. I've learned too much. Really, your ability to learn something new is no different now than it was 20 years ago. I guess it's really just your motivation and discipline that may be waning a little bit. Certainly, your brain can continue to develop and learn and set new pathways in the same way as your muscles will respond to into weightlifting or into your 80s. There's no medical evidence to say that your capacity to learn starts to reduce, unless you have some kind of onset of some kind of disease. So being flexible, getting online. I guess a lot of people in their 50s are not on LinkedIn, they're not on social media, they're not on those things, and they think, well, I don't want to learn the computer, I don't want to use the computer. Well, you really need to get over that, because that's the way things are going, and it's not really that hard. So being prepared to learn, developing your skills, looking at industries and what have you, and what skills that industry may lead or may need, will help you definitely move into a new role. So just recapping our 5 things. Number 1 is definitely your attitude. Okay, you must have a positive can-do attitude when you're moving through. Be flexible in the roles you're prepared to accept. Have a look at the industries that are actually employing people that are a little bit older. Work heavily on your network, because your network will be, 75% of people will get their next job through their network. And the last thing is, be prepared to learn. Be prepared to learn new skills. Be prepared to stretch yourself, test yourself. They're my 5 tips for looking for work in your 50s. And I'll just show you, I think the kids are playing rugby or football out there at the moment. Yeah, it looks like a rugby game going on. It's a beautiful campus. The trees are beautiful around here. Wishing you a happy afternoon, a successful week. It's Peter James from Career Life Transitions signing off.